Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's Metaworld News. This is the show where we look at a bit of virtuality news in the general sense, any innovations in human-computer interfacing, etc. Plus news where we've got it from social virtual worlds, so to speak, places where you're present to chat, do artistic things, collaborate, attend concerts, talks, have meetings, anything you can imagine you can do, including some things that you might find hard to imagine unless you're in a virtual world. Aye, yes, it's true. A man can fly, or rather, an avatar can fly. And after flying for a while, you get really bored with it, I can assure you. But novelties, try it someday. Okay, my name is Mal Burns. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/malburns, all one word, MALBURNS. And we have an additional Twitter feed, which is more to do with social worlds, in fact, for this show, which is twitter.com/metaworld news. Once again, all one word. Mal Burns in real life is two words, of course, but you knew that, didn't you? Well, no, you didn't? Okay, well, you do now. Okay, so let's move on. These are, by the way, our headlines for the 3rd of February. 2020, 2019. Sorry, 2020 vision and
Didn't
all that
expect
has
that
to
one, 2020.
that's going to have to wait till next year.
Yep.
I've got 2020 vision, you see, but they tell me I must wait a year before I can announce this. Right. Anyway, yeah, it is 2019. It is the 3rd of February. In other words, it's the first bulletin of February, and the highlights are coming from those feeds I mentioned and cover the last 7 days approximately. I'm joined by James Atloud here, who'll be commenting now and again. He's also performing all the visual stuff with our cameras. And Flipboard, that you probably know we use on this show to demonstrate a little bit of, well, basically you break up my talking head. Um, Ain't working today for some reason. They're doing maintenance. So you're actually viewing one of my browsers with Twitterific, I think it is, or one of the Twitter things in it down the side. So James will no doubt hit on things as we get to them. I am starting off with January the 25th, which would have been approximately last week. And the screen we have up at the moment is Digital Bodies, is the name of the website, digitalbodies.net. And title of the piece is Innovative Medical VR Projects are Transforming Pediatric Care. And as you can see, there's a lot of text, and oh, here we go. There's a picture of some kiddies. So you can look at that if you want. I don't know. Oh, I haven't seen that toy before. It's the thing from Star Wars, but never mind, never mind. As James said, I'm prone to going down the rabbit hole today, so beware, folks. um, yeah. Oh, that's I think. Oh, I don't know if that's actually a baby in a headset or looks like a. Never
Well, a young
mind.
child in a hospital bed. Yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, actually, it looked like an older a woman. Actually, not an old woman. Just yeah, who knows? Who knows? Yeah, you can see what's happening here, and they've got videos to prove it anyway. But anyway, read that article and view the videos for yourself. I'm not gonna do that for you. What do you think I am? Right. Okay, moving on to the next one. Embody. Right, brings cooperative well-being or something or other. Actually, I think I prefer this to Flipboard in some ways. The only problem is waiting for Windows to draw the screens, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Despite the speed of my thing. Oh, we did this one before, I think, last week. I recognized that nice little picture. Transform your digital environment with your own body um, while enhancing well-being. Um, yeah, I think. Oh, this is something that was actually shown at Sundance. Whether it's actually a standard VR controllers are replaced by pressure sensing yoga mats, which track your weight distribution. That'd be rather fun, depending on your weight. Um, right, okay. This I presume is an app, but I'm scrolling down there, and as you can see, there's well, unless you're seeing something I'm not seeing, there's no mention. Oh yes, you can do it in Microsoft. Oh no, this is something else. Heroes, Microsoft HoloLens. Who knows? Anyway, look out for it. It is called Embody, and be it for all I know, it's coming to every platform by you soon. And oh dear, yes, we're January 27th. This is another one from last week, but it was worth a comment.
Mhm.
Scientists use yawning to study social presence in something. Oh dear, I get colder. What's the
Again,
yes.
again with that.
Yeah, sorry, couldn't resist, couldn't resist. Okay, what do we got here? Hamlet 360. Um, this is supposed to uploadvr.com. I know this, despite the fact it hasn't yet loaded. There we are. This is, I believe, yeah, Hamlet 360, full-length Shakespeare VR production. This is feature length, it says. Doesn't say how long that is. I mean, but certainly it's maybe an hour, or it's certainly not a 5-minute job. And you are cast as Hamlet's father. And yeah, you experience the whole story. The review says Commonwealth Shakespeare's Company's Hamlet 360 isn't quite the debut we were expecting, but that doesn't seem to put them off appreciating it. You watch the events of the play unfold as a ghost, and in the play, the ghost sets in motion a revenge plot between his two sons. Yeah, interesting. Um, Okay, you can. I guess this is more of a 360 video kind of thing, because according to this, there you can see it says there's an iOS and Android app, um, and dedicated apps in Oculus Go and Lenovo's Mirage Solo. What that must be a headset I haven't come across. And you can get it on that Steam thing if you go for Steam things. Right, click me up a bit here, will we? Market report. This sounds rather boring. This is another post at digitalbodies.net, and it claims that virtual reality grew by 30% in 2018. I'm never 100% sure when I read these statistics whether they are actually talking, uh, VR is such a broad church, so to speak, at the moment. They could be talking about the hardware, they could be talking about content, they could be talking about content that only runs on hardware, or content that actually runs regardless of hardware. It's very difficult to know what they're talking about. My feeling is that this all this stuff is basically to do with the pickup of headsets and hardware, and also it does mention how medical field and museums, non-profits are all embracing the technology, but very hard to know. Anyway, it's they reckon it is growing, and this is a market analyst called Super Data, and I know nothing whatsoever about Super Data
Mm.
other than whoever it is has chosen a rather obvious name, haven't they? Right.
I did read
Uh,
an interesting related article that
oh,
the Steam, the aforementioned Steam, noted that virtual reality products exceeded the number of Linux products on Steam, which was kind of a milestone. So, for example,
oh,
different platforms, and so on Steam VR has exceeded the Linux users. So that's something of a growth pattern there.
I saw that too. Although I don't recall the mention of Linux. I just remember saying that Steam VR had outdone other Steam or something. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I just took it to mean they got more downloads of VR apps on Steam than other apps on
That's
Steam. But I,
that. Yeah, certainly
yeah,
something in that
uh,
area, but it's definitely getting some traction.
yeah. I know I don't like the idea of Steam at all, but I know a lot of people who do, and I presume it's people who like the one-stop shop idea.
Hmm.
It's something like Discord now, with have a store where you can download games and stuff like
Right,
that, and it
right.
seems to be, increasingly it's like I suppose it's like an online bookshop, isn't it? Where you go to, but it's a shop where you get computer games and you get them all from your library, and it gives a, but like anything else, the Steam engine, no pun whatever intended,
Pun is
is running in
intended, I
that.
believe.
Well, it's running in the background. It's a bit like Facebook. You think you're looking at a web page, but you're actually reading an iframe inside Facebook. So it's a double load, and of course, the invisible part of the load can be tracking you and doing all sorts of things, and possibly even slowing down your performance if it's doing enough. So um, I like, how should I say, I like direct connections I don't like to go to something that's inside
Mm.
Facebook when it
Mm-hmm.
should be outside, or a game. I want to play a load of World. I don't want to do it in Facebook or in Steam or something. I want standalone client. I don't even want to do it on the web, to be honest. But some people are moving that way. Anyway, move on
Yep.
before my time runs out and
Yep.
stuff like that. This next one is about media molecule. Media molecule. That sounds rather neat, doesn't it? How a media molecule streams, builds, plays, and changes the game. This is opposed to Upload VR. The good thing about this is you can see the website I'm on and their logo and everything else. Um, Oh, isn't that? It's a sort of furry toy. Yes, it's a furry toy. It is. Right. People are making outlandish claims about dreams. They go say it's strange, unwieldy beast that was born from a wild imagination, and its true dreams is a vast, impressive, bursting with potential. Blah, 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 blah. But you'll know the Media Molecule's latest program shares a little of its DNA with the likes of Tiltbrush, Quill, and Medium. Crucially, Dreams promises a step beyond. It's essentially an attempt at an accessible video game development engine. Um, and whoever this reviewer is, he kept saying, "But you knew that. But you knew that." Well, I didn't. Sorry, mate.
Interesting
It's,
style, right?
obviously, it's his style. You knew that already. So why am I writing? Right. Okay. This actually covers dual shock interface. Yeah. It covers a whole load of other sort of stuff too. But I gather it's actually interesting in terms of the. It's not sort of an open-ended game, but does sound to be sort of a very creative thing. Piece of software. I think it's more like an app than a platform, but with creativity as a focus. So let me move back. If I seem to be going around the bend here, it's because I'm not used to being live running this particular uh, system. I use it offline, but not here. We are. Okay, Welltown. Where are we here? We're at VR Scout. That's VR and then Scouters in Boy Scouts, but all one word. So VR Scout. There's the title. No spaces in that, right? And a .com in this case. Welltown is a VR experience built for an entire city. Um, oh, this was fun. Yeah, right. The capital of New Zealand, right, which is probably as big as England, actually. So not to describe it as a small island, that would be doing it a disservice. Doing Britain a disservice too. Wellington is the capital of New Zealand. It also become the world's first gamified VR city through a VR experience called Welltown, which promises to inject you directly into the heart and soul of the vibrant city, putting you in the shoes of both a tourist and a resident. So I guess if you live there, you'll go into the virtual world and check out everything that's actually just down the street anyway. And if you're a tourist, you'll book into your hotel and go into the virtual world and actually see what's just outside the hotel, but you're too lazy to go and look at. Or maybe not. Anyway, I mean, this reminds me of a lot of travel stuff. I mean, if I was planning to visit New Zealand and go to Wellington, it sounds like a very good thing to be able to get into and kind of explore before going there. Then presumably when I actually get there and put my organic feet on the ground, cough, cough, I will at least know where I'm going. So pros and cons to this one, I think, and that must be quite a massive project actually when you consider, it's not Los Angeles, but it's a capital city in New Zealand. It ain't a small place, and as it says here, it's a perfect opportunity to bring two worlds together, promoting Wellington as a city, but focusing on human storytelling all through VR. So that looks kind of interesting. Um, Actually, it's quite a. That's not bad for. Uh, it's not open sim high fidelity, but it doesn't look too bad in the picture there. Um, the reason I was scrolling down here is cheating. I'm trying to find where you can get it or where you can go to get it. But you're probably best to just read this article at VR. As you can see, sorry, VR Scout. As you can see, there are links here. But we'll be here all day if I click those for you. Um, Making of Welltown. Oh, no, yes, I know I'm doing a show. Thank you. Right. Yeah, it doesn't actually. Oh, here we are. Typical, the very bottom. Okay, it's on Steam VR and Oculus at the moment. Maybe coming elsewhere as we go along. Right, back to uploadvr.com. And this is a post about something called Wonderful, which mixes VR and actual reality for an experience you can touch. Hyperspace presents. Ain't no Star Trek. Right, Wonderful, Tale of Two Realms. Right. Um, if you're in Seattle sometime soon, you should take time to visit the Pacific Science Center. It's got a lot of AR and VR exhibits right now, not least of which is a beta for this one, which is called Wonderful Tale of Two Realms. Um, looks rather good, actually. I think this is really just for those of you who might be near Seattle. You can go see it. Oh, what it reminded me of more than anything is Mist, light Mist. So I just, on a personal note, I will add that I just downloaded on the Mac a version of Obduction,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I never got round to playing. So I'm looking forward to that if I do find the time to play. So Mist is about the only game per se I ever got round to playing. Oh, and its sequels and Seventh Guest, but that's about it. Right, okay, so wonderful. A Tale of Two Realms. That sounds quite fun. Right, that's as you can see, I have to scroll up my list here. Okay, VR documentary highlights something. The struggles of African Americans during the Jim Crow era. Right, this I think is one of these sort of photographic 3D 360 vision kind of things. Basically, it again, I suppose it's likened to the other week we had the BBC's suffragettes thing, where they kind of put you in the footsteps of a historical environment, and I guess this is the idea is to go back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s and put you in the shoes of African Americans traveling around in the deep South. Very curious thing that. I'm very fond of things like the blues and that kind of music. And when people refer to the Deep South, I never know quite know what they mean because, on the one hand, the Deep South to me represents, the heart of the blues and everything else like that. On the other hand, Deep South also seems to represent the worst of racism, as opposed to the other Deep South cultures. So I presume this is um, era of heinous Jim Crow laws. I'm not American. I'm not quite sure what that's about, but I kind of assume that this is an African American first person narrative, and that the environments you're put in are probably not the ones that are the most welcoming for black people, but that is my guess, having not actually seen it. Anyway, go to vrscout.com and check out more about that if that particular subject interests you. As a subject, I imagine it well should. Right, here we are, VR Innovator. Come on, Hamlet page open. Thank you. Well, eventually. This is a post at New World Notes, which of course is Hamlet Orr's classical blog. Used to be about Second Life, but it's now Virtual Worlds, VR, and everything else. Hamlet actually reports, and I didn't see this posted anywhere else at all, actually. VR innovator John Bouchard has launched something called Acadicus, which is a customizable platform for multi-user training. Now, John Bouchard is actually I need a sip of water before I get tongue-tied and twisted again, as the expression goes. Very good. Right, thank you. John Bouchard is actually an architect, and he did a lot of um, um, early architectural work in Second Life, in fact, at the start, working with both traditional architecture using virtual world for actually building in templates in, and also for using the virtual world itself to do new kinds of architecture. And he was also behind, I forget, it was like an architectural wiki thing, ArchiWiki, or I think it's something like that, I can't remember. Um, but it was very acclaimed at the time. It was like a collaborative environment for architects to work together and stuff. And he's moved into VR apps and things quite a bit in recent times. And this seems to be a training app he's devised for principally healthcare training, although as you see, the headline just says multi-user training. Um, the goal with Arcadius is to provide a virtual reality simulator lab where we're not providing any instruction, John tells me, but instead giving medical schools and experts the ability to create their own simulations. So basically, I suspect he's put all the work into, and very good work, I imagine, at that, into actually templates that people wanting to do training, particularly medical training, can actually adopt, to say bring their surgery or a lab or whatever online. So read more about that at it's actually nwn.blogs.com. New World Notes itself is not a title that will get you anywhere. Right. Now, next one. Here we are. Cosmos looks to establish. Oh, this I think will be another one very interesting for educators. Um, Cosmos VR Scout reporting again, spelled with a K, is looking to establish K-12's school. In other words, a new school where a K-12, I think, is well, I think it's what we call primary in the UK, or it may be secondary. I'm
It's
not sure.
kindergarten through 12th grade in the United States. Yeah.
Right, K-12, yeah, so it
Hmm.
is fair. Anyway, apparently they want to establish a completely new school, but it will exist entirely in virtuality, which, given the younger nature of the target demographic, as it were, might be pretty much perfect, if you see what I mean. If parents don't mind staying at home to look after the kids while they go to the virtual reality school, either that or you lock them in an interactive dome of some sort, in there like a playpen. I don't know. But the idea of a unique school that would exist as a school in the virtual world uniquely sounds like good progress to me. So there you have VR Scarred. Uh, right. What's this one? I wonder. This is hypergoodbusiness.com. Um, to the new location. Click here. That's very good. What? This is not a hypergrid business.
Hmm.
No, come on.
Mm.
Oh, I got. Okay, the bloody internet these days. Look at this. It doesn't want to close.
Yep.
Changes you made. Okay, right. Well, somebody's hacked hypergoodbusiness.com by the look of it, because the address is right.
Or was that a pop-up
No, if
in
there's a
your
pop
Twitter
up.
reader? Okay.
No, if it's a pop-up, it would be. Okay, well, it's a post about African Americans in virtuality. It may be extra PR for that thing I covered a bit further back there.
Mm-hmm.
Or it may be Maria talking about something else, or one of her other writers talking about something else, for all I know. And here is another one. Right, I'm going to click on this again. This is another link to Hypergrid Business. So fingers crossed. Um, by the way, if you see this and want to press yes, do bear in mind you're watching a video. Right,
We're all watching.
everybody's watching. Well, it's taking a while. Oh, okay.
Ah, it
Well,
worked.
this time we actually have arrived at Hypergrid Business. Okay. Um, Okay, the Advanced Imaging Society held its 10th annual awards ceremony this week at Warner Brothers Studios, and virtuality was a major focus of the event. Um, uh, Ready Player One took the award for the Best Live Action 3D Feature and Best Stereography, which I guess is the movie itself. Disney, National Geographic, Starbreeze are the names of the ones ones that are recognised here. This is Maria herself reporting, so maybe that's why. Actually, if I know Maria, she's the one who put the sex ads there, but never mind. Sorry, Maria.
Okay.
The messy truth. The messy truth. That's what comes of having your name on my intro. Produced by Magic Labs Media and 4CC Medias. Right. That's VR for social impact and a documentary called The Messy Truth VR. Magic Labs, TV host, activist. First episode with Winston Dude. Oh, it's not Black Panther. It's the guy who played in Black Panther. Okay. Anyway, little round up there, and nah, that be sex adverts any day. Couple smooching in VR. Nice. See, nice picture. That's from Disney. That's Disney's idea of. That's probably Disney's idea of a dirty picture. Never mind. All right. Sorry. I did post something in my Flipboard is offline, but in my features section this week there was a wonderful, I think it was a Medium or something article on how the the current internet has ruined sex. Anyway, Trip, something called Trip as well. Okay. So that appears to be it. But the magic of this little widget I've got here is I'm just going to skip along and I'm going to move to the Metaworld news feed.
Hmm.
And there isn't actually a great deal there, but this is twitter.com slash Metaworld news. Um, this isn't news. We had this last week, and in fact, I think we had it more or less an exclusive on this because it's been a topic of great conversation during the week. InWorlds, the successor to a big grid called InWorlds, was Islands. President's World was aired, and Islands is now closing down. This is Daniel Voyager's take on it that we're looking at here. Daniel Voyager, all one word, .wordpress.com, and basically, it's only been, I don't know, a couple of months really before. In fact, probably even less since they've been up and running again. And apparently, it's just unmanageable, which is such a great shame for the open sim world in the greater sense, because islands and indeed its forebearing worlds were never actually on the hypergrid. Largely, I say, because they were not running a standard OpenSim installation or one of the variants. Instead, they ran an engine called Halcyon. Which just was, an advanced sort of tangent that has roots in Second Life, but it's actually something very, very different. And the US military's Moses project was using it for a while. A couple of other experimental grids that I don't know whether they're still running were using it. Obviously, they're not hypergrid grids, they're standalones because of that engine. But InWorlds and Islands, really, its successor, have really been the prototype, the exhibition, as it were, for the Halcyon engine, which is a very good performing engine indeed, despite its uninterop this is a word,
Hmm.
uninteroperability with other platforms. So a lot of people have actually looked to it as a good example of open source development and stuff like that. So it's, maybe some other grid or something or system will come along and take up the use of that engine, or maybe it can even be modified to be an engine that could be somehow at some point be made compatible with the hypergrid. Who knows? Who knows indeed. But sad news for many people who actually waited quite a while after InWorlds closed, waiting for Islands to, as it became known, to come up, and then of course they transferred they logged, registered there. They were trying to get OAR backups to go live, and basically recover everything they lost on the InWorlds grids. So unfortunately, they haven't got them. Okay, as you can see, I've got a little blue box there that is telling me my time is running out for sharing my screen with you. That is not. Where does the time go?
Where does
That's
it
what I
go,
want to know.
indeed?
Yes, indeed. So let's see. Metaworld News. Here we are. I'm going to start at the top. 3 days ago, All Right World Hypergrid Hop. Yes, the Hypergrid. Sounds like a song from Rocky Horror or something. Let's do the Hypergrid Hop,
Uh,
Hop, Hop. Yeah, right. Oh, let's go down the rabbit hole again. Yep. Uh, Okay, Okay, this is a bit. Okay, this is a thing that was in Res magazine, which Women in Art. This is normally Res magazine is normally Second Life, um, but basically, I have mentioned this before, and we plan to get them on in World Review at some point. This new hypergrid hop thing is not actually weekly yet. The next one is going to be February 28th, and which is a Thursday, and it will start from the Metropolis grid hosted in Germany and move to Craft World, which is run in Sardinia, Italy, and yeah, better focus on Europe arts and women in art. And yep, anyway, there is an elementary website you can go to get news on this. The one I'm reading here is hypergridhop, or one word, .com. And I think, let me have a look. Actually, it doesn't look from the top there that there's an RSS feed for them, but I'm sure there's one somewhere. All websites have RSS, don't they? I
Oh, I
don't
don't
know.
know. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Tangle. Hypergrid business again. Tangle Grid. Well, the major hypergrid destinations, they're not a standalone grid. They're on the hypergrid. They do have some restrictions, which is basically for their own residents have a bit more currency. They support Globit currency, and basically every 3 months, they have an entire region that is devoted to a sort of expo, and it's hypergrid wide, although it's on Tangle Grid. It's open to exhibitors from all over the hypergrid, and people who want to sell things even could come from all over the hypergrid. So it's what I call a hypergrid event rather than an individual Tangle Grid event. And it has now started, and the current one is a science fiction expo.
Hmm.
Exhibitors setting up there. You go to on the hypergrid, it is tanglegrid.net, and colon 8002 is the port you want. And visitors can get freebie items and purchase content using Glowbits. And there's even a competition to vote for favorite displays grid owners. No, displays, sorry. There's only one grid owner. She's obviously the favorite. Right. This is also a
Hmm.
large display where you can go on a shuttlecraft to the grid's Borg spaceship Star Trek ship. That's a new one. I've just finished watching Star Trek Discovery. And I'm not really a Trekkie, but one thing I do know is that they all have interesting sort of names like enterprises and stuff. The one on Dangle Grid is just called Ship. The-
Okay.
okay, let's go for a ride on the USS Ship. Why not? Um, okay, yeah, this is the shutdown I just mentioned there. Oh, actually, there are actually several. There are several different things in. Daniel Vogel's blog also pointed out that Virtual Highway Grid had closed as well at the end of December 2018. I haven't seen or heard much of Hypergrid, the Virtual Highway Grid for quite a long while anyway, but apparently it shut down at the end of December. Too little
Hmm.
fanfare, that
Hmm.
one, I must admit. Okay, well, it looks like we've got to the end of our stuffings here, really,
Oh.
which is rather nice. So I guess James can. Let's just see if I can finish with. No, I do actually have a sign somewhere for the Sci-Fi Expo, but it's oddly enough it's not on the web page, so never mind. Okay, so that's it for this week. I was going to say short but sweet, but we've been on air for nearly 3/4 of an hour. It just flies, doesn't it, when
Yeah.
you're having fun?
Hmm.
James, any thoughts on all that lot?
One thought was the Welltown, the New Zealand,
Yeah.
New Wellington website. I'm thinking of the one in Second Life, Virtual Belfast. Is that?
Oh,
I'm wondering if that's a similar type of thing.
no,
Virtual
it
Belfast
probably.
is historical, right? Is that true?
I think there's a couple. Of
Hmm.
course, there's in Open Sim, there's the Virtual Belfast,
Yeah, with the
Steerforth.
Maritime Club, and yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, if you're thinking of Ham Ramblers, Virtual Belfast, so to speak, I mean,
Hmm.
it's got the Blarney Stone pub, which is almost uh, a historical landmark in Second Life and
Hmm.
still very successful, being the earliest. It has a semblance of Belfast. Sorry, No, oh, hang on, Blarneystone. It's not. No, it's actually Dublin.
Dublin. Okay.
Yeah, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Hamlin is Dublin. I hope he doesn't mind. I've just accused him of being in the Northern Ireland. Never mind. Um, no, he's in Ireland, the actual Irish Republic. I don't think there is. I don't really know if undoubtedly there've been things. I mean, there's a wild bit of land in England here called the Yorkshire Moors,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a big area of Second Life, which is the Yorkshire Moors.
Ah.
Now, there ain't much to the Yorkshire Moors in real life. I don't quite know what they managed to put in there virtually, but it's modelled on the real kind of landscape, or in this case, totally rural. Um, I know the city centre of Birmingham, Britain's second city,
Mm-hmm.
was done in VR. That was done by Dayton. I don't know whether it's still in Second
Ah.
Life.
Yeah.
They tend to work with external 3D apps now. I think they might even have done Coventry as well, bits of Coventry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some areas of London, of course, in Second Life, Deb's region. She's been on some of our shows a long while ago now, really. She has Virtual London, which isn't to scale, but it endeavours to mimic the central London, both where I live here in Kensington and then
Yeah.
moving
Yep.
across Hyde Park and towards Soho in the West End. It's very much a niche area, and I can assure you that Kensington does just not fall into Piccadilly Circus as it
Yeah.
does in
Right.
the virtual
Right.
world. There's a bit of a big
A
space in
little bit.
between.
Yeah. Yep.
The Albert Hall's in the middle for one, but actually it's about 2 miles. So it's not at all realistic. There was Twinity. I don't know, but I think Twinity is still going. It's a sort of forgotten virtual world, which was always designed to be a mirror world. They started in Berlin, then they had a London, then they had New York City, and
Mm-hmm.
basically they've used it's very elementary VR with photo panoramic surrounds to the sort of actual builds,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't actually all that unusual these days with mesh worlds, which where there's it might be 100 miles big, but there's still a skybox that the build is always made in. Um, and that's actually had mirror buildings, for example. So, I think they gave me a little flat there, which was on about 3 floors up on above a shop in Regent Street. I don't think the inside was modelled,
Ah.
but nevertheless, it was described as a mirror world. And if I remember rightly, they'd have concerts and parties and things, and they'd be in the middle of Trafalgar Square,
Oh,
which is
sure.
about the only open space available. Um, and I don't think there was ever anything else quite like that. Um, Unfortunately, I know that I was part of something that was in beta, um, where I had a wonderful photographic looking avatar, so wonderful that I never want to see it again. It really
Oh,
doesn't work when you see the real self. It's like being in a mirror in an
okay.
avatar. You
Uncanny.
realise, hang on, I don't really know that I do want to look at myself properly. But anyway, I had an avatar there, and I could never see it except it's a kind of third person view. But we had people from French television come in to film us, and of course, when I actually saw the program on TV, there was my real life self as an avatar walking down New York City streets.
Ah.
But that one was based on OpenSim, not OpenSim, so open source mapping software.
Mm.
What their big plan was actually a mirror world because they wanted to use the maps they already had of the entire world and then recreate under the cloud level, zoom in like you do with Google Earth, go
Sure.
down to ground level. And instead of having Street View, they wanted to build an entire world, where you would claim your own space of real life.
Yeah. Very ambitious. Yeah.
I can imagine people arguing over a building or something, but at the start they weren't really worried. And the idea is would contribute to the world by taking photographs of your building exteriors and local landmarks and stuff, and then uploading them to the site where the photographic resources could be used to map the textures of buildings and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it's a very much a wiki kind of project too. Um, but they didn't get the finance, and quite frankly, even if they had got good backing. That was really going to be a tall order. The company, whose name I keep forgetting, they do a lot of really simple consumer and games that you can download, possibly even games on Facebook pages. They did have a kind of expertise in social games, with the emphasis on games rather than worlds. But that particular one, Mikazook, I think they were called.
Hmm.
I may be wrong. I'm going by memory there. Um, yeah, that particular idea for a world didn't really take off, and I mean, if it had, we're talking about 5, maybe 10 years ago. If it had taken off, it might have changed everything. I do remember meeting the guy behind it all and his partner, in fact. So there were two of them, but a guy called Mike was the main one, and we met up here in London, and the real life London, yes.
Ah,
And he was a very, very nice guy, and he had a very clear idea of what he wanted to do. Everything from the mapping side of it, the virtual buildings, the wiki side of it, and eventually the monetization by way of sort of um, if you had a high street, the shops would be real. And
okay.
obviously they would hope to rent the virtual one to the real shop, and so they
Yep.
could sell virtual goods or find some linking mechanism. And likewise, not so much domestic premises, but work premises and stuff like that. So,
Sure. Sure.
there was that. Oh, and possibly buying extra virtual land so that you could, if you owned an ancient manor in the middle of the British countryside, you could presumably occupy the manor and build it for free, or if it wasn't already built from the photos, and but you'll pay extra for the land, because those estates tend to be on big patches of land, So, there was a sort of template for monetization on various fronts, but the idea, I think, was ahead of its time. In many ways, it was that Ready Player One thing already existing, where the whole planet is also a virtual reality.
Hmm.
I think I forget. Yeah, that was pretty much the case in Ready Player One, wasn't it? The entire and in Snow Crash almost. I mean, the idea was you spent enough time in virtual reality that it really was a second reality.
Right.
And you would. It's the difference between the worlds we know now, where it's kind of fictitious or user created worlds, which are not mirrors of the real world. They're like a secondary world, with a mirror world, which is very much a virtual interpretation of what is down there in the good old physical organic space. But there's room for everything.
Yep.
And in 100 years' time, I won't be around to see it, but one wonders indeed. We'll
Right.
all be holograms floating around in satellite-powered satellites with virtual reality servers in them, housing our bodies in containers. And I don't like the thought of that, but I'll be dead
Oh
by then
man.
anyway, so I don't care.
I hope I don't get a blue screen.
Yeah, yeah, I know, I'm going to upload my memories and everything into virtual reality, man, and I'm going to live forever. Yeah, yeah, immortal me. And oi, 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 careful with that plug. Ooh.
Too late.
Yeah, yeah, I bet so many fantasies, I mean, there's one thing being a bit utopian and everything else, but a number of people I've spoken to love their virtual reality so much, and they talk about, I mean, it may be possible that we'll be able to upload memories, to a digital archive and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and
Yeah.
access them, as avatars or something. But however fantastical all that is, you know, all it's going to take is a good old war where everybody nukes everything else and all the power goes down and the servers are gone. And it's just poof to your avatar
Yep.
and poof to your virtual memories and poof to your real world memories and probably vaporize your coffin at the same time. Go figure.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm being very depressing, aren't I, folks? Bringing the Metaworld News Weekly quick bulletin up to an hour. Down the rabbit hole he goes again. Anyway, I forget. Did I? Yeah, I did turn you to you, James. So it was
Yep.
that really
Yep.
that your thoughts were really just on the Wellington. I
Well, I
like it.
also
That's a nice play on words, isn't it?
it is.
Welltown
Yeah,
and
Welltown. I
Wellington.
thought it was a
Yeah.
health oriented virtual world at first,
Yes.
like Healthy Town.
Yes, it sounds a bit like that, doesn't it?
One other question: what software were you using to share your Twitter feed?
Oh, that's actually my normal browser, which is in my case is Opera.
Okay,
But that sidebar is actually got
it's
a name.
a plugin.
TweetDeck it's called.
Oh, it's TweetDeck. Okay.
And you can go to TweetDeck on the web, but
Mm-hmm.
you can also download, a plugin. It's probably in Firefox and the others
And
too.
Chrome. Yep.
A sidebar there too. And in fact, well, we're off air from that point of view now, but in fact, that shows all my three Twitter accounts plus, notification accounts, and they're all in columns. There's about eight of them across the screen
Mm-hmm.
when I'm in Twitterific proper. But because I just keep the sidebar open, I can slide at the bottom between them. And on the Mac where I work mostly, I've got the Malburn's writer feed
Mm-hmm.
open, which is actually a feed where I post machinima and places and arts and stuff from Second Life, which still exists by the way. So, but I don't cover it here. Um, and then I've got Metaworld News, and then I've got the Malburn's main feed, and so. Um, Very often when I'm looking at my well, we're off, we're not showing it now, but when I'm reading my news feeds every day in the morning, I open the pages to links that are useful, and then I will actually copy the URL under title to my clipboard, and then quickly move across to that TweetDeck column and paste in the tweet.
Sure.
Yeah, and I do a similar thing, but without TweetDeck when I'm working on the iPad. I've got, the iPad's quick post thing does the same thing. It allows me to choose which account to paste it to and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that.
All right. Thanks.
So yeah, I plow through an awful lot very quickly. People don't believe how fast I get through stuff, but to me, once it's set up, it's all just buttons. Yep, post that there, post that there, post that back there, post that over there,
Yeah.
and so on. And then I've got things like this I can always pull up quickly to reference the history of what I've done. So
Very good. Thanks.
it's quite easy when you know how, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, well, I think that's it, folks. We'll be back same time, same place next week. So, meanwhile, it's well, James, it's goodbye from you.
Well, and it's also goodbye from him.
Ah, what about me?
Oh, goodbye from you. That's right.
We will not make Walking the Wise, will we?
No.
We're really just
No.
not going to. We're never going to get there. We got it perfect last week. You were quick on the ball, but we've goofed it this week. Okay, from both of us, we two are one with the Meta World News. We'll see you next week. Bye for now. Have a good one.